What's going on YouTube? So today, really quick video, I'm going to show you how to do an oil change on your R6. It's going to be really quick, easy, and save you some time and money in the process. This bike is a 2009. Doesn't matter if your bike is older or newer, all the R6 platforms are pretty much the same. I like to use AMSOIL 1040, and I definitely recommend the OEM Yamaha oil filters. Maintenance is cheap, guys. A lot cheaper than doing an engine repair down the road. So get good quality oil and an oil filter from the dealer. You'll thank yourself in the long run. So step one, we're gonna wanna warm the bike up a bit. Let's get it running and up to temp. Bike up to about 70 degrees. You don't need to get it really hot. You don't want to be burning yourself trying to change the oil. You just want it warm. So now the bike's warmed up. If we feel the engine cover here, it's warm to the touch, but it's not hot, so we're not going to be burning ourselves. You just want it warm so that oil flows out of the oil pan efficiently, and you're going to get more of the contamination out of your engine, and that's the whole point we're doing the oil change in the first place. So we are just using a number 4 Allen key here, nothing fancy. You have one fastener at the front, one here, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 on the back here. And these Allen keys are different sizes, so just keep them organized. Now with this side cover loose, we can peel back this fender a little bit right here. And you can see the drain plug is a 17 mil. Right there. What I like to do with this side panel, just flex it back a little bit, and I'll just lodge a screwdriver in here gently against the engine. There's not much pressure on it, but just gives you a little more room to work with. You can pop this panel right off, but you don't have to. Still pretty clean. Didn't end up riding that much this year, but like I said, oil's cheap, maintenance is cheap, engine repairs are not. While our engine oil's draining out the bottom, let's move on to the oil filter. So the oil filter is behind this guy, and the shifter linkage is in the way. So it's just one 10 mil nut here. Just take note on where the marking is, because you're gonna wanna put it back roughly in the same place. If you slide it on the splines here and you're in a different spot, your shifter is going to be in a different spot up or down. It's not going to affect anything. It's just going to be uncomfortable if you hop on it and your shifter's in a different spot. So unless you want your shifter in a different spot, make sure you put this back right where you found it. If you do want to adjust your shifter linkage, move this dot down, and it'll push your push rod here down, and your shifter linkage will actually sit higher. If you want the shifter linkage lower, slide the dot up. So we got the 10 mil nut out of here, and it's just gonna pop right off. And now we can get this linkage, just set her over to the side. It's not gonna go anywhere, it's still attached to the bottom. And we can access our oil filter now. So it is hard to get an oil filter wrench on this guy. There's not a lot of space, but a little trick I use if it's too tight to get off by hand, just use some vice grips or some pliers. See if I can do this with one hand. And it usually doesn't take much to get these guys going. she is. Just make sure that O-ring stays in your filter, because the new filter does come with an O-ring. You don't want to double up those seals or else it will leak. These Yamaha filters are usually pretty good, coming pre-greased, but it doesn't hurt just to put a little bit of engine oil on that seal as well. Just makes it easier the next time you go to change the oil. It comes off a bit nicer. Going in with our new filter, and do not over tighten it. All I do is get it as tight as I can. I'll kind of use two hands once I'm not filming here, and just snug it up as tight as I can with both of my hands, and that's perfect. If you over tighten these, you're gonna have a really hard time getting them off with how tight of location this is. All right, so filter's on. We got her torqued up by hand there. Let's put our shifter linkage back on here. Put our drain plug back in, and that's pretty much it, guys. We'll be filling it up. Shifter linkage is back on. Put our 10 mil nut in. Don't over torque this guy either. He's a pretty small bolt. Don't want to break it off in there. Got our alignment mark lined up, and just a good snug. Good to go. And just don't forget to give it a little bit of a clean. If you got any oil on the exhaust, just wipe it off, give it a shot of brake clean, or else it will smoke and smell pretty bad when you start it up. So the engine oil is pretty much done dripping underneath. Because that oil drain is on the left side of the engine, we're just gonna drop the bike off the stand here and put it back on the kickstand just to tilt it and get a little bit more oil out of that pan. If you guys aren't using an engine stand, you won't need to do this, but just something I like to do, get that little bit extra out. So bike's on the kickstand now, and you can see we are getting quite a bit more oil out of there. So back up on the stand here. You guys don't need a stand. It just makes it a little easier taking your Allen key bits out. So let's get our drain plug back in, get all these guys back in the fairings, and fill up the engine oil. So coming over to fill the oil up, we got the engine oil filler right here. And then this is our dipstick right here. So start with 2 liters, just over 2 liters, and then we're gonna start it up and check it, because it's always easier to add more oil rather than trying to drain some if you overfilled it. So let's start her up, let it run for a few minutes, get all that oil to cycle through the new filter, and then double check your oil level. It's a good time to check it for leaks while it's running. And when we check the oil level, we're going to keep it on the stand so that the bike's level. You don't want it leaning on the kickstand. The engine oil dipstick's on the other side of the bike, so if the bike's leaning, it's going to read lower than it actually is. You're going to end up overfilling the bike. So the bike's been running. Let's dip the oil. See where she's at. Right on the money. So that was just over 3 liters, about 3.2 with the filter. And that's it, guys. Nothing to it. All you need is that 4 mil Allen key and a 17 mil for the drain plug. Nothing else. Super easy. Just make sure you dispose your used oil properly, and that's all there is to it. She's ready to be parked for the winter. I like doing it before I park it, then you're ready to go in the summer and you have clean engine oil sitting in your engine and all your bearings and everything over the winter. Some guys say you need to change your oil every 6 months. That's just simply not true. Oil's not going to expire just sitting in your engine. It's not being worked, it's not being used, it's not being broken down. This is the proper way to do it before you park it for the winter. So hopefully this video helps you guys save some money and get more familiar with your bike. There's no point in paying a shop to do simple repairs and maintenance like this stuff. The more money you save on maintenance and repairs, the more money you can spend on performance parts, like exhaust, power commanders, stuff like that. Stuff you're actually gonna enjoy. So cheers guys, we'll catch you in the next one.